Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in tonight for Robbie Tuesday Night Live with Rob. It's good to have everybody here. Tonight we're going to be talking about prepping gun considerations. This is one of those topics that I get a ton of questions about. What's the right gun for prepping? And we're going to dig into that throughout the show tonight, as well as some other very important topics. But just want to ask you guys, hey, if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Subscribing to the channel really helps us bump our numbers up with a Google and YouTube algorithm and helps us to reach more people. So if you would, please hit that subscribe button down below. I appreciate it. Hey, I hate that I missed today's show over on Sensible Prepper. I was really looking forward to that, but things just came up today. We've been doing a lot of work in the back of our house, getting ready to put our new garden in, and cutting a bunch of trees down and chipping a bunch of wood. We had a chipper that was supposed to be delivered Monday morning, and the chipper didn't get here until about 5:30 yesterday afternoon. And so I had to spend all of today running about 25 trees through the chipper and in the rain, obviously, because, hey, yesterday was a great, beautiful day. Sun shining, birds were singing, sun was out. It was an amazing day to be working outside, and that didn't happen because the chipper didn't get delivered on time. But the chipper finally came in yesterday a little after 5 and got everything set up and was able to hit it first thing this morning as soon as it got daylight. I'm sure my neighbors loved me, but hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And so I spent all day in the yard chipping trees, cutting tree trunks, and splitting wood in the rain. But got it all done. But hey, I missed being over on Sensible Prepper today. So for those of you that watch Sensible Prepper live, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard on Tuesdays, I'm sorry that I missed you guys, but I'll catch you next week for sure. And hey, thank you for tuning in here tonight. We got a really great show planned. So prepping gun considerations. That's kind of a broad topic. What are some prepping gun considerations that you guys have thought about? I've got a list over here that I'm going to go through tonight, but hey, if there's something that I don't cover on my list that maybe you've thought about, pop it over in the comments, as well as any questions that you guys have. If y'all have questions or comments or anything, make sure you put them over in the chat, and we'll see if we can get to them throughout the episode as we work through this tonight. So let's start off with prepping gun considerations. What is a caliber that you can get large quantities of ammo for? And that's a big one for preppers. You want to be able to stock up on ammunition in case you have issues like we had in 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020. Basically every election cycle that comes around, ammunition dries up, especially if the wrong party is elected. When Trump got elected, we saw a proliferance of ammunition. It was available everywhere. After the first year or so he was in office, we could get ammunition. But when we have a Democrat elected in office, we see ammunition dry up and we see ammunition costs go through the roof. So what are some calibers that you can get large quantities of? And some big ones that immediately pop to mind when it's readily available is 9mm, 223, 22 long rifle, and 12 gauge. Those are, to me, the top 4 calibers for a prepper that I would consider stocking up on. Now, let's talk about something a little bit different. What is an effective caliber for a prepper? And this may be something that's a little bit different than stuff we can get large quantities of ammunition for. An effective caliber for a prepper. That's a big question. What's something that is effective for a prepper? Well, honestly, anything that you can load in a firearm and send down range and effectively either stop a threat or put food on your table is an effective caliber. And that's really getting down to the nuts and bolts of it. A 22 short, 22 long rifle 5.7 by 28, 30-06. All of these are effective calibers for a prepper. It really comes down to shot placement. Shot placement is as important or more important than the caliber of the firearm that you're using. You can effectively take whitetail deer or almost any North American game with the correct shot placement. So knowing where to place the round to be able to stop a threat or to be able to put game on the table is as important or more important than the caliber of the firearm itself that you're using. I'm a big proponent of 22 long rifle. I think 22 long rifle is one of those calibers that is often overlooked by a lot of people. But here's the thing, you can carry a lot of ammunition, and if you're using the right projectile, you get great penetration, not a whole lot of expansion, but that's okay because you're looking at penetration. Penetration to me is in a low velocity caliber, 22 9mm, 40 caliber, 45 ACP, they're all low velocity calibers. Handgun calibers are all low velocity calibers, and I put 22 long rifle in with handgun calibers because they are all low velocity. You're not introducing a lot of hydrostatic shock into anything that you shoot. So you're not creating a big temporary wound channel. You're not disrupting or displacing tissue. You're not stopping heartbeat rhythms by the pressure curve as it moves throughout the body with a round as it's entering and exiting a body. Pistol caliber rounds as well as 22 long rifle are all about shot placement. It's where the round impacts the body and what the round does after it impacts the body, or what it does to organs after it impacts the body. So a heart shot, lung shot, head shot, neck shot, with any type of low velocity round, that whether it expands or not, a lot of your 9mm stuff now, it's got a really thin jacket, really soft lead core, and it will expand, but you're not getting a lot of penetration with those rounds. But what you are getting is expansion, no temporary wound channel, and the person is either going to bleed out from the shot, or if the shot is placed correctly, you're going to stop a particular organ, be it the heart or the lungs or the brain, or you're going to hit a major artery, and the person or animal that you're shooting is going to bleed out. So choosing the correct caliber, but knowing all about shot placement, where a round needs to go to effectively subdue something that you're shooting, to me is more important than the caliber itself. Now the next topic really bleeds into this, and that's 22 long rifle. Is it worth considering for a prepper? And to me, I think 22 long rifle should be the #1 round that you consider as a prepper. It's small, it's lightweight, you can carry a lot of it, it lasts a long time. It's a rimfire cartridge. They're a great round. So 22 long rifle is one that, for me as a prepper, I would definitely consider. I would also look at ways that I could store that ammunition long term, so to prevent moisture from getting to it, because moisture is the worst enemy of ammunition. If you've ever been to the range and you've had a hang fire or a misfire, a lot of times it's because moisture has entered the ammunition and either contaminated the powder or the primer. So you want to be able to store your ammunition to where it doesn't get in contact with any type of moisture. Excuse me. Ammunition cans are a great way to store bulk ammo. 30 caliber or 50 caliber ammunition cans will store a lot of 22 ammunition. So, excuse me, consider picking up a few surplus ammunition cans to store your bulk ammunition in, whether it's 22 or any other caliber. #4, should I stockpile only NATO calibers? And this is a big one. There's with everything going on in the United States, with everything going on in the world today, NATO calibers are, to me, something that's very important. 9mm, 5.56, 7.62 by 51, 12 gauge. All of these are NATO calibers. And these are all calibers that, to me, I would consider stockpiling. And maybe even throw in 7.62 by 39 or the 5.54, I don't remember what it is. The Russian and Chinese caliber, that's the equivalent of a 5.56. If somebody knows what that is, pop that over in the chat. It's escaping me right now what the 5.45 by 39, maybe. I believe that's what it is. But that's one that maybe I would consider that's a non-NATO caliber, but is a com block caliber. And that's something to consider. We have our NATO calibers, but you also have your com block calibers. And there's some crossover. But really consider stockpiling ammunition that, if you can't buy it and things go downhill in the world really quickly, that even though you can't buy it, maybe you can still pick it up. Tomcat941 says 5.45 by 39. Thank you very much for that. But consider stockpiling calibers that you can, if you can't buy that ammunition, that maybe you can pick it up if things have went that bad. Number 5, should I consider a shotgun? To me, I think absolutely yes, you should consider a shotgun for several reasons. 12 gauge. And I'm gonna really limit this to 12 gauge because that is a kind of the standard caliber or standard gauge for shotgun that's the most readily available, the most easily found, and has the widest variety of shot options. With a shotgun, you can pick up birdshot, you've got buckshot, you have slugs if you're looking for something to give you some extended range out of a shotgun. Magazine capacity on a shotgun can be anywhere from 2+1 to 25+ rounds, depending on the type of shotgun that you have. Most of your shotguns that are available today, whether it's Remington 870 or Benelli, a lot of your Winchesters, there are extended magazine tubes that are available for these shotguns, where you can increase your capacity from the 4+1 up to 8+1, 9+1, 10+1, and even higher by just adding an extension tube to the shotgun. All of my shotguns have, whether it's a pump or a semi-auto, have extension tubes on them, and they all hold at least 8+1 as far as the capacity on all of my 12 gauge shotguns. I like a shotgun. A shotgun is a very versatile firearm. It's usable in a lot of different situations. Like I said, even birdshot is a good defensive round at close range. If you're inside of 10, 12 yards, even more, up to 20 yards with the right choke. 10 to 12 yards if you're using a cylinder or an improved cylinder choke. Out to 20+ yards if you're using a full or an extra full choke. You can throw a pattern that is the size of a softball, and that can be absolutely devastating in a defensive situation. So don't discount a shotgun, even with birdshot, for defensive use or as a prepper for eliminating pests, vermin, hunting, being able to put food on the table, as well as defending yourself. Number 6, and I think this is a big one. This is one I get a lot of questions about. How many extra magazines for each firearm that I own should I buy? And to me, it's going to vary a little bit. My rifles, my AR-15s, which I'll throw out there is, kind of my first line of defense will be my AR-15. The AR-15, I like to have at least 10 magazines for my AR-15s. And I'm a big fan of the Magpul PMags. I don't bother with the more expensive windowed magazines, so I can look at it and see how many rounds I've got in it. You know, if my bolt locks back, the magazine's empty. I need to put another one in the gun. I'm not looking at my magazine in a firefight trying to determine how many rounds I have left in that magazine. If I've shot some and I have a lull in a battle, I'm going to drop that magazine. I'm going to put a full magazine in, and I'm going to store that magazine in one of my magazine pouches. So the Magpul magazines, you can get them for about $10 a piece. There, you can find deals on them where you can pick up 10 magazines for $90, so about $9 a piece. But the Magpul P-Mags, the non-windowed ones, they are great, great magazines. I've used a lot of the mil-spec magazines. I used the aluminum and steel magazines when I was in the Marine Corps. And I've used the P-Mags as well as some others. Lancer Systems makes another great magazine with their steel followers or steel feed lips on the magazine. It's another great mag. But the non-windowed P-Mags, I think, to me, are, especially for the money, probably the best magazine on the market. They work exceptionally well in the AR-15. With a handgun, I like to have about 4, maybe 5 magazines for each handgun. If I only have one handgun, I'm probably going to have more magazines than that. I would go up to about 8 magazines if I only had one handgun, maybe even 10 magazines, but 8 would be my minimum if I only had one handgun. Now I've got a couple of different firearms, so if it's one that's in my rotation that I carry some, but it's not a like a personal favorite, I'll probably only have about 5 magazines for that. My handguns that I shoot a lot, whether it's range use, training, or whatever, those firearms, I have at least 10 magazines, or those handguns, I have at least 10 magazines a piece for that. And, you know, with some of your firearms that are out there, you know, if you're a big 1911 guy or 2011 guy, especially the 2011s, the magazines have always been prohibitively expensive. It's been really nice to see, especially with the Springfield Prodigies, the Duramags that they're selling. Those magazines are $40, $45-ish, which sounds like a lot, but you know, you've got to think about 20 years ago when I started shooting STIs and building 2011s. The magazine for a 2011 back then was $150+. And some of your custom tuned magazines that you buy today from like MBX and some other companies are still going to run you at least $125 for a magazine. So the Duramag from Springfield Armory for the Prodigies it's a great option if you're into those double stack 2011s. The Duramag's a great option. Just know you need to replace the spring and follower in that magazine to keep it up and running like it's supposed to be. And then you can put different base pads on it to increase capacity and add a little bit of weight. Number 7, how much ammo for each of my prepping calibers should I have on hand? And this is whether I'm doing stuff on Sensible Prepper with Don or through my channel or even through my business. This is probably one of the most asked questions that I get. How much ammo should I have on hand? For my primary firearms, I think 500 to 1,000 rounds is the minimum that you should have on hand. And this isn't ammo that you're going to use. This is ammo that you're buying to put back in case of an emergency for a prepper situation, okay? So your 5.56 ammo, I'm looking for a minimum of 500 rounds, preferably 1,000. For a prepper situation with your 9mm handgun, I'm looking for 500 rounds minimum, or for me, at least 1,000. 12 gauge shotgun, 250 rounds of birdshot, 100 rounds of buckshot, and then some slugs mixed in there as well. And then 22 long rifle, I'm looking at around 1,000 rounds for my 22 long rifle or more. When it comes to the 22 caliber stuff, I'm a big fan of subsonic ammunition that's around 1,000 foot per second. The reason that I like the subsonic ammunition is kind of twofold. One, it's a little bit quieter because it doesn't break the sound barrier. But two, because it doesn't break the sound barrier, it doesn't go through a transonic destabilization phase at around 100 yards. So if I'm shooting ELR, extreme long range, with my 22, the subsonic ammunition is going to be more predictable as far as what that projectile is going to do at long range versus a supersonic round, which goes transonic and then subsonic and will destabilize and cause accuracy issues. So for 22 long rifle, I always go with subsonic ammunition just because it is more predictable at long range. Let's bounce over here and take a few questions, and then we'll jump back into the last few that I have over here. Let's see what we've got for questions tonight. Corey Suttles in tonight. He said, "What's up?" Dwayne Booth, Anderson County. Mr. Dave River, I'm going to be seeing him in the next few weeks at the Gathering. If you guys haven't heard about that, the Gathering is an event that Palmetto State Armory puts on every year. It's an opportunity for individuals to come out to the range and meet with industry professionals as well as firearms manufacturers and shoot a bunch of different guns. So I've always kind of said it's a try it before you buy it opportunity. So a lot of the firearms that you see at SHOT Show, a lot of the accessories that you see at SHOT Show, you're able to come out to the Gathering and put your hands on those firearms and accessories, use them, try them out, and see what you think about it before you buy it. And the Gathering gives that opportunity to the regular individuals who aren't in the industry, that have the opportunity to be able to go to SHOT Show and these different range days and try stuff like that. So if you haven't heard about it, check out the Gathering. It's put on by Palmetto State Armory, and I hate to say I don't remember where it's going to be. It's either going to be the Clinton House or the Sawmill, one of the two. But check it out, and hope to see you all there. Don Filkin says, "Hey Rob, warm weather in New Hampshire today." Don, it's been warm weather down here in South Carolina today. It was a little over 70 degrees, and we had a thunderstorm this afternoon while we were outside running the chipper. So yes, it's a little warm here today as well, especially for February. You know, we don't normally see 70 plus degree days in February, even in South Carolina. South Carolina is historically our coldest month in this state. So our temperatures are normally, you know, like in the high teens or low 20s in the mornings, warming up to about 40-ish, 45 during the day. But we've got a really warm spell right now. So it's good and bad. You know, we're starting to see a lot of, I was looking at my blueberry bushes today and my plum trees and stuff, and they're already starting to get buds on them, which is concerning because it's only February. And I know that we're going to have frost coming up in the next week or two because it is still February. So now with my bushes, with my berry bushes and my plum trees and stuff already starting to bloom, I'm going to have to make sure that I cover those in the next few weeks to prevent frost from damaging all of the buds that are on them. Let's see, the Gen X Prepper. Rain here in Maryland also, but working outside today wasn't bad. You know, I got to agree with you. It's, it poured down all day here. We got about an hour in this morning before it started raining. And around 8:30 this morning, the bottom just fell out. And, you know, we just kept on getting it. But, you know, it was 63, 64 degrees here. Around 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning. So the rain, you know, when you're outside working and it's that warm, the rain does not feel bad. So we actually enjoyed it quite a bit. MSB 9021 says stocking 12 gauge too, but that's close range. It is, you know, it really depends on, like I was talking about earlier, it depends on the type of shot that you're using as well as the choke that you're using. The choke plays a huge part in how far you can shoot different loads for your shotgun. You know, with birdshot number 6, 7, 8, you know, your regular small game loads, even with those with a full or an extra full choke, they are very effective, even out to 30 yards or so, maybe even further. But you step into your buckshot, single alt, double alt, triple alt buckshot. I usually use a modified choke with all of my buckshot loads, and those are good for 50 to 75 yards, depending on how your rifle patterns and the forcing cone, how the forcing cone's cut. Slugs, I like to use an improved cylinder, or maybe a modified. And I don't use a rifled choke with my slugs. I get slugs that have rifling molded into them. The Fiocchi managed recoil slugs are some of my favorites. They're about 1,250 foot per second or so. They feel just like you're shooting birdshot out of your shotgun, but they give you a 1 ounce slug or a 7/8 ounce slug that you can reach out to 100, 150, 200 yards with and be very accurate and effective. So definitely don't discount a 12 gauge shotgun. With the right ammunition, you can still create some